As black men couch vote, white men court pack. Let me say it again. As black men couch vote, white men court pack. Now I'm going to explain to you exactly what I mean in this video. So stay with me. Hello, everybody. I am Attorney Augustus Corbett, one half of the Defiant Lawyers, and each and every week, we bring you at least one legal analysis of some story trending regarding politics, policies, personalities, or pop culture to empower you with the information you need to defy an unjust legal system and to nullify systemic racism. If that interests you, go ahead, like, share, comment, subscribe, and click the bell so you get notified every time we upload one of these powerful and informative videos. So let me say it again. When black men couch vote, white men court pack. When black men couch vote, white men court pack. That's the way it works every single time. When we vote the couch, we give them the opportunity to pack the court. And that is bad for us. Now, before I get into this today, please go over to Amazon, grab a copy of my book, Education and Justice, How Public Schools Fail African-American Males. If you have a young boy in public schools, I promise you, this book will empower you to be his strongest advocate. Additionally, if you have a young man in school and he's not reading at grade proficiency, I highly recommend that you go to our website and learn about our new BARS Summer Reading Program. BARS, I created it so that we could help you during the summer, try to get your son's reading skills up. All right, that's the whole purpose of the BARS program, to help you get your son's reading skills up over the summer. And we have had quite a few registrants, and we're going to keep registration open, by the way, so feel free to go to the website, register even now. All right, so with that said, let's get into this video. Couch voting versus court packing. When black men couch vote, white men court pack. They're like, ooh, they're just chomping at the bits when they know black men intend to either sit it out or vote for Trump. They know that they're getting ready to get the opportunity to pack the court even more so than they did. I'll talk about that in the second part of this video. Right now, I want to talk about couch voting. And let's start with Professor Eddie Glaude, a famed African-American Princeton professor. And he admits, he says, I was wrong to vote the couch in 2016. And he's referring specifically to not voting for Hillary Clinton, which is voting the couch. You see, he admitted that he was wrong to vote the couch, because that's what vote the couch means. It means that you're not voting. So he admitted that he was wrong. Professor Glaude also wrote an op-ed in the Time magazine explaining why he was voting the couch regarding Hillary Clinton. I want you to read a little bit of that with me. All right, so he says, quote, perhaps the most persuasive reason to vote for Hillary Clinton is Donald Trump. Trump is worse. I know that. The prospects of a Trump presidency, what would be a deadly combination of arrogance and ignorance, ought to frighten anyone. It frightens me. But my daddy, a gruff man who has lived all his life on the coast of Mississippi, taught me that fear should never be the primary motivation of my actions. It clouds your thinking and all too often sends you running to either safe ground when something more daring is required or smack into danger itself. In the end, Donald Trump is just an exaggerated indication of the rot that is at the heart of this country. He grossly underestimated Donald Trump, because Trump is not an exaggerated indication of the rot that is at the heart of this country. He's far, far more dangerous than just rot. The fact of Trump alone and his democratic anguish that goes with it cannot be the only rationale to support Hillary Clinton. Something more substantive is required for us of her. So he says, just thinking about Trump is not the reason that we should vote for Hillary, and in this case, Joe Biden. Because, he said, Trump is just an exaggerated indication of the rot at the heart of this country. He was wrong, and he came to realize that. He goes on to say, many, despite what I've written, will still vote for Clinton. I do not fault them, especially if they live in a hotly contested state like Ohio or Florida. Vote for Clinton to keep Trump out of office. I completely understand that, but I can't vote for her. So that's what he wrote, and it had an influence on a whole lot of African-American men. Now, he goes on to say, I will vote down ballot, focusing my attention on congressional, state, and local elections, and I will leave the presidential ballot blank. I have to turn my back on the Democratic Party that repeatedly turned its back on the most vulnerable in this country because the party believes they have nowhere else to go. That false belief betrays a fundamental misunderstanding of this period of democratic awakening. Then he says, June 24th, 2022, I was wrong about the 2016 election. I admit it and have admitted it in writing, but I will not apologize for wanting better, period. He says, I was wrong about the 2016 election. Why was he wrong? Because Trump was far worse than he imagined. And the damages and consequences of Trump being in the White House for 4 years left this country staggering. Now Trump wants to get in office again, and Eddie Glaude now realizes that we can't let him. We can't vote the couch. We can't do that because when we vote the couch, they pack the court. When we vote the couch, they pack the court. All right, don't forget that. All right, Professor Glaude goes on to say, James Baldwin convinced me that sometimes we vote to buy ourselves some time. We cannot allow Donald and mega Republicans to win even if we are critical of the Biden administration's position on Gaza. And I would say on anything. I don't care what you think about his position on anything, immigration, inflation, or anything else. The stakes are too high to let Trump back in office to not only pack the court, but destroy our country, our democracy. Captain M.J. Singleton said, man, I wish you would have thought of this in 2016. Eddie Glaude said, I do too. So he realized he made a big mistake in voting the couch regarding Clinton and encouraging others to do so. Because that put our country in the throes of authoritarianism, in the throes of an autocracy, a dictatorship. And it gave Trump and his allies the opportunity to pack the court. And that may be the most important reason why we don't vote the couch. We cannot vote the couch if for no other reason than we can't allow them to fill the federal judiciary with a lot of right-wing extremist judges. By voting the couch in 2016, that allowed Trump to put 3 conservatives, staunchly conservatives, on the court, which resulted in 6, a supermajority. Wow. I'm going to talk about that in a moment. But Professor Glaude saw the light, just too late. Now, couch voting. Let's talk about it specifically. Why it's such a bad thing. So, who does couch voting harm and who does it help? Let's answer the first question. Who am I harming? The answer is the African American community, ultimately. You're certainly not harming the Democratic Party. If that's what people think, it is foolish. Because ultimately, you're harming the African American community. And here's why. Just think about it. The Democratic Party consists of your or our representatives. For example, Jasmine Crockett is one of my representatives here. If I don't vote for Jasmine and they run someone against Jasmine, they replace Jasmine. And they replace her with someone who will not fight white supremacists like she's doing. So how does that help me? And how does that harm Democrats? Because even if Jasmine does not win her seat back because we voted the couch, Jasmine is going to do fine. She's a civil rights lawyer. She has a great career ahead of her. That doesn't hurt her and other Democratic politicians. That ultimately hurts me and us because she's not in Congress fighting Marjorie Taylor Greene and other white supremacists. So voting the couch, we are relinquishing our right and our ability and duty to determine who writes, interprets, enforces, and benefits from the law and policies on the federal, state, and local level. That's what we're giving up by voting the couch. Our voices, those who represent us, will not be heard regarding who writes the law and what they write, regarding who interprets the law and how it's interpreted, who enforces the law enforcement and how they do their job. You know we cannot trust them. And who benefits from the law and the policies that flows from the law, again, on the federal, state, and local level. We're relinquishing all of that, talking about hurting the Democrats. The Democratic Party is the party that we are aligned with when it comes to civil rights, when it comes to racial justice, when it comes to equity and equality. The Democratic Party is who we are aligned with when it comes to those issues. So, by voting the couch, we allow others to make critical decisions about our life regarding things like criminal justice law and policies. Do you think we need to be involved in that? Do you think we need to have our voices heard when Congress and these legislatures are coming up with these laws, these criminal laws and the policies that flow from them? Do we need to be involved when they're talking about regulatory laws and policies? Do we need to be involved when they're talking about tax law and policies? Do you think Black Americans need to be involved, have their representative present when Congress is discussing economic law and policies? Well, we won't be present if we vote the couch, because that gives them the opportunity to do what? To replace our representatives, talking about hurting the Democrats, or until we get tangibles, or until we get reparations. It's preposterous. Not that we should demand tangibles, not that we should demand reparations. We should demand both. But we don't sit on the couch, we don't vote the couch and allow them to pack the court waiting for those things. We demand those things from our representatives. But if we haven't supported and voted for our representatives, how will they be present to fight on our behalf? Now, I'm going to give you a better alternative here in just a moment than voting for the couch. Do we need to be present on civil rights laws and policies, voting rights laws and policies? Of course we do. So who do we help voting the couch? Couch voting helps one person, Trump. Why? Because it's a simple math and numbers game. And in 2016, had Black folks not voted the couch, Trump would have never became president. which is why he actually thanked black people for not voting. In other words, he was saying, thank you for allowing me to pack the court with right-wing judges. Thank you for allowing me to pack SCOTUS with right-wing justices. Thank you, black people. Thank you. What did you have to lose? Big time. A lot. Voting the couch. Because, again, voting the couch results in packing the courts. So, based on the one man, one vote law, not voting for Biden results in Trump winning a state's electoral college votes. Just that simple. Just that simple. This is especially crucial if you live in a battleground state or a swing state. For the 2024 election, these states are Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. It also could include Nevada and North Carolina, and somebody may throw in there Florida. But these battleground or swing states are states that can go either way. So the candidates tend to spend a whole lot of money in those states. And if they can get black folks in those states to stay home to vote the couch, then they can pack the court with right-wing judges who are anti-black, anti-civil rights. How does that help you get reparations? How does that help you get tangibles? It doesn't. So what's a better alternative to couch voting? I'm going to tell you what a better alternative is to couch voting, because I do agree that we should demand reparations, that we're owed reparations. I do agree that we should get tangibles from our voting. I completely agree with that. It is just that voting the couch does not help us move in that direction for the reasons I gave already. Remember again, couch voting results in court packing. So here's a better alternative. There are two strategies that are much, much better than couch voting. Number one, first, helping more people vote for your candidate, in this case, Joe Biden. So not voting the couch or voting less, but voting more. Voting more. Why? Because of what I said up front. In order for Biden and Harris to get the things that we want done, they need to control Congress. They need a majority in the House, and they need at least 60 senators in the Senate. You remember the first 2 years of Biden's administration? He had a slight majority in the Senate and controlled the House, and yet couldn't get things done because two of the senators would not support his agenda, Sinema and Joe Manchin. Well, both of them are leaving. And if you get out and vote, I mean vote, not vote the couch. Vote. That means getting other people to vote, helping other folks vote, getting other people registered. Then it's possible. It's possible to give Biden 60 senators. Very difficult, but it's possible. And a majority of the House. So the point I'm making is, don't couch vote. Help more people vote even more so. Double up your effort. Triple, quadruple, quintuple, if there's a word. I mean, do what you got to do to help family, friends, and everyone you know, church members and so on. Get registered and vote Biden. And if they're talking that couch vote and stuff, play some of these videos. Tell them, hey, go watch this video. And you'll see why we cannot couch vote, because that allows them to court pack. And we need folks on the bench at the local, state, and federal level who are amenable to us as a people and not anti-Black and not anti-civil rights. Trump's biggest accomplishment, and I'll show you in a moment, was putting all these people in federal courts. I'll show you that in just a second. So a better alternative to couch voting is doubling down, tripling down in our voting, meaning not only do we vote, but we get more people to vote so that we can give Joe Biden a supermajority in 2025. And then there is no excuse for him not to get the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act, which deals with qualified immunity, among other things, as well as the John Lewis Voting Rights Act, which will repair the Voting Rights Act. Those are two critical pieces of legislation that the GOP blocked. All right? So rather than couch voting, double up on your voting, triple up on your voting, meaning help other people get elected. What's the other thing? It's a two-step process. Second, making sure your congressperson is pushing your agenda by organizing and engaging. So you want your congresspeople to be amenable to your agenda. How do you do that? By organizing and engaging. Sometimes we don't realize as African Americans our power. We have power because we have the ability to vote. I love the way Reverend Jesse Jackson Sr. used to say, hands that once picked cotton are now able to pick presidents. But we got to go vote. We can't vote the couch and expect to pick presidents thinking we're hurting the Democrats. By hurting the Democrats, we're really hurting ourselves because it is the Democratic Party that is aligned and is amenable to our issues. We know the GOP is not. And so while we vote the couch, they are packing the court. I told you, you're going to hear it over and over and over. So we make sure that we get elected people to Congress that are pushing our agenda. And we can do that if we're doubling up, tripling up, and doing whatever is necessary to not only vote ourselves, but to help our family and friends and neighbors, etc. vote. That's how critical this election is. Now, speaking of battleground states, here they are, 7 of them. All right, these are the states. If you live in one of these states, you need to be, was really 5 of them, but 2 have been added. Nevada, Arizona, North Carolina, Georgia, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin, I believe that state is. Okay? So if you live there, it is extremely important because 5 of these states have Senate races on the ballot. So we need to be out there. We need to be out there big time, not only voting for Biden, but trying to get a supermajority for the Democratic Party to offset the fact that the GOP controls the judicial branch of the government, the federal courts, the federal judiciary. So this is just a way to balance things off. So we can't just vote. We got to double down. We got to triple down. And we definitely cannot couch vote because then they can court pack. All right. I'm going to keep saying it. Court packing. Let's talk about what that is. Court packing. Packing the court with conservative judges. So you see Trump there. And because people couch voted, black people, Trump was able to appoint conservative judges. No black ones. You see that black person there crossed out? Nope, not one black one. Okay, white men, white women, all conservative, all super, super right-wing, okay? So because we couch voted, that enabled him to court pack. That's his biggest legacy, helping white supremacists. That's his biggest legacy. That is the thing they applaud him most for, getting all those judges, those right-wing judges, on the court. Now, how did he do it? Because in 2016, apparently a lot of people listened or agreed with Eddie Glaude, and they didn't vote. You see that? Look at that graph. White, black, Asian, Hispanic. And you notice the black vote dropped. At the worst time, it dropped. Instead of going out and voting for Hillary, black folk couch voted. That enabled Trump and his allies to court pack. You will see in a moment what I mean and how that has seriously impacted us and will impact us for decades to come. Decades. All right, let's look at a further breakdown of how blacks voted in 2016 and 2020. In 2016, black men, 82% voted for Hillary, 13% voted for Trump. I don't understand why any black man voted for Trump. But 13% voted for Trump, which enabled Trump to pack the court against black men. In 2020, black men increased their support for Trump. It went from 13% to 19% for Trump. Black women also increased their support for Trump from 4% to 9%. Sisters, don't you follow those men over to Trump. You let them go by themselves. Don't you follow those men over there. If they want to vote for Trump, let them do so themselves. So court packing. Trump, the nation's 45th president, worked closely with who? Majority Leader Mitch McConnell and other Senate Republicans to reshape the federal judiciary, particularly the appeals courts, for decades to come. Federal judges have lifetime tenure and typically remain on the bench long after the presidents who nominated them have left office. So we allow Trump to just reshape the federal judiciary. Because many black men either voted for Trump or the couch, Trump was able to engage in a process called court packing. He appointed more than 200 judges to the federal bench, including nearly as many powerful federal appeals court judges in 4 years as Obama appointed in 8 years. Obama couldn't appoint more because Mitch McConnell and the GOP blocked him. Again, this wasn't possible without the help of black men voting for Trump or voting the couch. Couch voting results in court packing. Couch voting results in court packing. People often use court packing to describe changes to the size of the Supreme Court, but it's better understood as any effort to manipulate the court's membership for partisan ends. A political party that engaged in court packing will usually violate norms that govern who is appointed, such as only appointing jurists who respect precedent, and how the appointment process works, such as no appointments during a presidential election. The total number of Trump Article III judgeship nominees that were confirmed by the United States Senate was 234. including 3 associate justices of the Supreme Court of the United States, 54 judges for the United States Courts of Appeals, 174 judges for the United States District Courts, and 3 judges for the United States Court of International Trade. I cannot describe to you what that means, because those judges handle a myriad of federal issues every day. And the thing that Trump looked for in his allies, for the justices and judges that they put on these benches, let me show you what they were. White supremacists, anti-civil rights, anti-black, fascists, young, and white. That's what they look for. Justices and judges who are white supremacists, anti-civil rights, anti-black, fascists, in other words, who are okay with Trump becoming a dictator, young, and white. So when they pick a justice to be on the Supreme Court, for example, they like them in the 40s and 50s. The ones on the federal lower courts, 30s, 40s. So they can be there for 3-4 decades, doing harm to the African-American community. So couch voting results in court packing of white supremacists, anti-civil rights, anti-black, fascists, young, white, most often males in the court system, federal court system. That's what voting the couch got us. That is one of the reasons why Professor Eddie Glaude said he was wrong. When you hear these people telling you to vote the couch, vote the couch, vote the couch, I have no other way to explain it than they are trying to help Trump hurt the African-American community, or they are incredibly naive and unwise. And you can tell I'm being nice. There's so much more that I could say about people out here telling black folks not to vote the couch, or even vote for Trump. Now, since Biden has been in office, watch this. Biden has emphasized adding more female and minority judges to the federal bench. On that front, 127 of the 200 judges confirmed to the bench are women. This is under Biden. 58 are black, 36 are Hispanic, according to Schumer's office. 35 judges are Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islanders, more than any other administration, according to the White House. So Joe Biden, silently, many of you didn't even know this was going on, has put 200 people on the bench, the federal court system. 127 of them were women. 58 are black. 36 are Hispanic. They are not anti-civil rights. They are not anti-black. They are not obviously white supremacists or fascists. So can you imagine how it feels when me, a federal litigator, walks into a federal courtroom and I see a black judge, one that I know was not put on the bench by Donald Trump? I mean, just recently, an Obama-appointed judge spared former prosecutor Marilyn Mosby decades in federal prison. That is how important voting is. And Biden was putting those people on the bench, and most blacks didn't even know it was happening. So that is, by the way, a tangible that we got. That alone is a huge tangible. Huge, huge, very significant tangible that we got from Joe Biden. And many other things. Many other things. I could go down the list. I have gone down that list many times. But we've gotten huge tangibles from Joe Biden. And at the top of that list are these judges. And the biggest was Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson. As she sits on that bench as one of 9, fighting for us. I've heard her in oral argument via, videotape. I've not seen her in person. But during videotape or audio tape, I have heard her fight for the African American community in the spirit of Justice Thurgood Marshall to offset all the crazy stuff that Clarence Thomas is doing. That is a huge tangible. When these people say the Democratic Party has done nothing for Black Americans, these people do not know what they're talking about. And they think you are stupid. They think you don't have the ability to just do a simple Google search and find out all the things that the Democratic Party and Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have done since 2021 for the African American community. They think you just will not do your own research and see that they're lying when they say the Democratic Party has done nothing for Black Americans. In my opinion, they did a whole lot when they enacted the Civil Rights Act of 64, the Voting Rights Act of 65, the EEOC Commission, the Fair Housing Act. I mean, that really was, in my opinion, enough for me to say that this is definitely the party that African Americans need to be supporting. Because in my mind, I just need, as James Brown said once, just open up the door and I'll get it for myself. I just need you to open the door, I'll run in there and get it. And that's what they did. I'm not depending on the Democrats to make my life better. I just need them to keep those doors open. And again, as James Brown said, the late James Brown, I get it for myself. In the appellate courts, 30 of the 42 circuit judges confirmed during Biden's term are women. According to the White House, 13 Black women have been chosen as circuit judges, more than all previous administrations combined. I got to explain to you why that is so important. In the federal judiciary, when you file a lawsuit, or if there's a criminal complaint filed, it is done so in the district court, the lower district court. And if there's an appeal from that court, in most cases, the overwhelming majority of cases, it is appealed to a circuit court. And that circuit court has jurisdiction over a big swath of the United States. Like, for example, I live here in the Fifth Circuit, which is an extremely conservative circuit, very conservative, the most conservative circuit in the nation, the Fifth Circuit. So the issue with that is, if a case is appealed from any of the local district courts here in our area, it goes to the Fifth Circuit, and the Fifth Circuit will make decisions and issue rulings that become law. Because if somebody tries to appeal from the circuit court, the only place to go is the U.S. Supreme Court, and they don't take a lot of cases every year. They take 80, 90 cases per year. So they don't take a lot of the cases that are appealed to them. Thus, what circuit courts rule becomes the law for their circuit. And if you have a conservative circuit like we have here, what they rule becomes the law that everyone in this circuit has to live with. Well, Joe Biden put 13 black women on those circuits, more than all previous administrations combined. That's big, folks. That is a huge tangible. I don't understand it when these people say Biden and the Democratic Party has done nothing for the African American community. Are they this ignorant? Or do they think you're ignorant? Which one is it? You all have got to stop listening and following these people who don't know what they're talking about. They don't know. What's the old saying? Who's the fool or the fool that follows the fool? Don't make yourself a fool by following a fool, because you become the bigger fool. By following someone who doesn't know anything about the practice of law, and it is the practice of law that really, really, really determines the outcome of this country. Right? It's those people there in D.C., those senators, and the folks in our various state legislatures that really control the states and the country. And so to take your political advice from people who don't understand this system is really foolish. Really, really, really foolish. Biden has brought big tangibles to the African American community. And of course, we need to push him to do even more. So as I said earlier, I agree with those who said and who say that we should push politicians to give us what we deserve and need and want. Absolutely. But if he doesn't do anything else, he's done so much for the African American community. And you've heard me say many times, I'm not saying this because I'm a Democrat or that I'm partisan. I am not a Democrat. I am not a Republican. I am an independent voter. But I happen to understand the law. I happen to be pro-black. I also just so happened, to be someone who is in these courts a lot and have been so for almost 17 years. I see this from a different perspective, and I know that you're being lied to. I know that you're being lied to by these black YouTubers and these black conservatives. And the people on these courts get to make major decisions regarding civil rights, voting rights, equal employment, the First Amendment, the Fourth Amendment, the Second Amendment. Now, it is the Second Amendment that I disagree with Joe Biden and many Democrats. I am a huge Second Amendment defender. I believe we as African Americans should be armed and informed. You've heard me say that before. I have a YouTube channel that's called that, Armed and Informed. Because I believe if anyone in this nation should be armed and informed, it should be us. Whereas the Democratic Party will push, laws and regulations and so forth on gun ownership that tend to impact mostly law-abiding citizens. And we black folks, again, we don't need to ever be in this country again and not be armed. There was a time where it was illegal for us to own firearms. And you've heard me say, and I'll say it again, I don't believe slavery would have lasted as long as it did had we been able to arm ourselves. So that is an area where I disagree with the Democratic Party. First Amendment, Second Amendment, Fourth Amendment, Fifth Amendment, these judges that Trump put on the office, put on the bench, again, Fourth Amendment issues, like when you are searched or arrested unlawfully and we got to go in front of these judges and it's a Trump-appointed judge, they're probably not going to be amenable to our arguments that you were treated unfairly because of your race. The Fifth Amendment, Sixth Amendment, the Seventh Amendment, the Eighth Amendment, cruel and unusual punishment, your right to an attorney. These judges are the ones who will make those decisions and determine the law on these issues. The due process clause of the 14th Amendment, the equal protection clause of the 14th Amendment, racial discrimination, police brutality, federal criminal procedure, and much, much more. So they get the chance to pack the court when we vote the couch. And therefore, they're able to control things, all because we listen to YouTubers tell us we need to vote the couch to hurt the Democrats. We also, when we vote the couch, we give up in local races, state races. So we are allowing the white supremacists to set the rules, the laws, the policies on the federal level, the state level, and the local level when we vote the couch. Make it make sense. Now, who is the architect behind Trump's judicial picks? A man named Leo Leonard. Leo Leonard. This man was the one behind the scenes that you probably never heard of, telling Trump who to pick, who to put on the bench. Because this is not something that Trump knew, right? Trump is not that smart. He's not that engaged. They told him, put these people on the bench. They gave him a list, and he published the list and promised them that if they back him, he will put those people on the bench. And he did that while at the same time telling black people to vote for him. A list of very, very, very right-wing, white supremacists oftentimes, judges and justices who would be anti-black, anti-civil rights, yet black men voted for him anyway. Why did they do that? Because many of them probably didn't even know that Trump had put the list out. And Trump knew that there was probably a very low risk of them finding out about the list because black men, black women too, but especially black men, it seems, don't read. Don't research to see what's going on. Instead, listening to Ice Cube, Charlemagne, and others in that hip-hop world calls themselves the new black media. Out here misleading people because they don't know what they're talking about. Now, when it comes to writing bars, rap music, being an entrepreneur, oh, that's Ice Cube. That's Lil Wayne. That's Kanye West. They got that down packed. But when it comes to politics and the law, that's not who you need to be getting your advice from. Leo Leonard was the man behind the scenes, just hoping that black men vote the couch so he could execute his plan. Who is Leo Leonard? Leonard is the co-chairman and former executive vice president of the Federalist Society. You ever heard of that organization? He joined the organization over 25 years ago. Since that time, he has been instrumental in helping the organization top 70,000 members, focusing on the growth of lawyers' membership, operations, and activities advancing limited and constitutional government. Leo Leonard, in addition to his work at the Society, Leonard has advised President Trump on judicial selection, assisted him with Gorsuch and Kavanaugh's Supreme Court selection and confirmation process, and served as a member of the transition team. He also organized the outside coalition efforts in support of Roberts and Alito, U.S. Supreme Court confirmations. So he's in the background. Don't want you to see him. Doesn't want you to know him. Helping get these right-wing white supremacists on the court, as well as Thomas, who's also right-wing and a white supremacist. Yeah, you can be a white supremacist and be black. According to the website, if you go to the website of the Federalist Society, its main purpose is to sponsor fair and serious and open debate about the need to enhance individual freedom and the role of courts in saying what the law is rather than what they wish it to be. That's all bogus. The Federalist Society has one purpose: to pack the federal judiciary with right-wing justices and judges. That's Leo Leonard's job and passion. So here is a list that he gave Trump. He compiled this list and he gave this list to Trump. And so when black men voted for him or voted the couch, they gave Trump and Leonard the opportunity to pack the court with these type of people. Some of them you may know: Bridget Bade, Daniel Cameron, Paul Clement, Senator Tom Cotton, white supremacist to his heart. He represents the state of Arkansas. Senator Ted Cruz, a white supremacist to his heart. And he doesn't even have a lot of principles, because remember, Trump called his wife ugly. And yet he's one of Trump's biggest supporters. Ted Cruz. I thought you would know some of these. Stuart Kyle Duncan, Stephen Engel, Noah Francisco, Senator Josh Hawley, another right-wing white supremacist senator from Missouri. So black men voting the couch enabled Trump to pack the court with these white supremacists. And the thing with white supremacists is their number one fear and target are black men. And see, that's why I told you in the beginning, the Civil War never ended. Ted Cruz, Josh Hawley, Tom Cotton, and the rest of this list is still fighting that war. When we don't realize they're fighting it, they're still fighting that war in suits. I mean, Trump wasn't even skittish about putting this list out, because, again, he knew most black men that were going to vote the couch would not take the time to look at this list and say, hey, no, I don't. Who are these people? I don't know that I want to vote the couch and help him put these men on and women on the court. And Trump actually announced it. He told conservatives, white conservatives, I'm going to put these people on the bench. Were black men listening? James Ho, Greg Katsas, Barbara Lagoa, Christopher Landau, Carlos Munoz, Martha Packard, Peter Phipps, Sarah Pitlick, could be mispronouncing them, and told them where to put them. Put James Ho on the Fifth Circuit. Put Greg Katsas on the Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia Circuit. Barbara Lagoa, put her on the 11th Circuit. Trump had his marching orders and agreed to do every bit of that if they supported him. Yeah. Just court packing to the teeth. Couch voting results in what? Court packing. While black men couch vote, white men court pack. Allison Jones Russian, Kate Todd, Lawrence Van Dyke. These are the folks that Trump agreed to put on the court. So what are they planning if he gets back on the bench? To finish the job. There are a whole lot more vacancies. And they want to put the rest of these people on the federal bench so that when I and my civil rights lawyers colleagues walk into their courtrooms, we sort of know automatically this is going to be difficult, if not impossible, to get any justice in one of these courts where the appointed judge is just flat out right-wing, anti-civil rights. I mean, that is the situation that we're in. It's a bad, bad situation. Here in this area, once again, the Fifth Circuit is extremely conservative, and it only gets worse the higher you go because the U.S. Supreme Court, 6 out of 9 very conservative justices. This is as bad as it was in terms of the federal judiciary since before Brown versus Board of Education. And now, I don't know if you've heard, but Clarence Thomas wrote a concurrent opinion in a voting rights case where he disparaged the Brown case. And so like I told you months ago, they're coming for the Brown case. They're coming for anything that benefits the African-American community because they want to make America great again. You will help them achieve their agenda if you vote the couch, because you will enable them to pack the court. Think about it very seriously. I am Attorney Augustus Corbett, one half of the Defiant Lawyers. Thank you for watching. You have a good one. Peace.